You get your salary, you set up SIP. You're putting away 20% each month. And honestly, that already puts you ahead of most people your age. But that 20% number, it wasn't calculated for your salary, it wasn't calculated for your city. It was designed in America for American incomes, with a government retirement system that you will never have access to. You're following a foreign rule on an Indian salary. And the gap it's quietly creating, I'm going to show you exactly how that looks like in rupees. Here's what probably happened. You got your first salary, maybe your second or third. You felt that responsibility kick in. So you opened YouTube, read some few articles, Google searched, and every single one of them told about 50-30-20 rule. 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. Set up an SIP, automate it, done. So you did exactly that. 6,000 a month going into a mutual fund every single time. You told yourself, I'm being smart about this. I'm not like people who just spend everything. And you're kind of right. Starting is generally the hardest part. And you've done it. But here's the question that's probably sitting somewhere in the back of your head, even if you haven't said it out loud. Is 6,000 a month actually going to be enough? Think about it. You're 23, 24, maybe 25. Retirement is 35 years away. You're earning 30,000 a month right now, and after rent, groceries, transportation, electricity, there isn't much left. You're doing the responsible thing, but deep down you know that math doesn't feel right. It isn't, and I want to show you exactly why. Not with some vague advice, but with actual numbers. By the end of this video, you'll have a completely different salary split. The salary split which is built for you, built for Indian salaries for Indian cities, and for a future that nobody else is going to fund for you except you. So let's actually run the numbers. Not hypothetically, on a real 30,000 take-home salary in a real Indian city in 2026. The 50-30-20 rule says that 50% is for needs, which here is 15,000 rupees. If we look at rent, in a metro city, like in Bengaluru, a basic 1 BHK flat averages at around 21,000 rupees. If we look at Pune, it ranges in around 15,000 to 25,000 rupees for different areas. And if we look at Hyderabad, which is one of the most affordable metros, it's around 11,000 to 17,000 rupees. And the entire needs budget is 15,000 rupees. So rent alone in most Indian metros either matches the needs part or blows past it entirely before groceries, transport, or even a single utility bill. Now some of you may be staying in a PG or sharing a flat and your rent is maybe 7 to 8,000 rupees. Now that helps, but it does not solve a deeper issue which I am going to show you next. Add groceries, 3,000 to 4,000 if you're cooking at home. Now in transport, auto, metro, petrol, that adds another 2,000 to 3,000, and electricity bills, phone bills. Even if you are splitting rent with a flatmate and paying 8,000 rupees, all the essentials goes to about 13,000 to 15,000, and you haven't even spent a single rupee on enjoyable yet. Okay, the rule says 30% goes to wants. That's 9,000 rupees. Now I want to be clear here. I'm not going to tell you to stop living your life. You should be able to go out sometimes, have a Netflix account, eat out, enjoy your life guilt-free. 2 Zomato orders a week, that's 600 rupees. OTT subscription, 500 rupees. A weekend outing, nothing extravagant, 1,500 rupees. That's already 2,600 rupees, and we haven't touched a haircut, friend's birthday, anything unexpected. So 9,000 in a real life, in a real metro city is tight, very tight. So now we are at 20%. The 6,000 rupees that's supposed to build your entire future. Now this is the part where nobody explains properly, so pay attention here. The 50-30-20 rule was created in America for American salaries, with a very important assumption baked in, that your government is taking care of a part of your retirement. In US, 6.2% of every paycheck goes into social security. You get government-backed retirement, government healthcare. The 20% savings was designed to top up a safety system that already existed. You do not have that safety system. In India, your EPF covers only a fraction of what you will need at your retirement. Only when you stay in a formal employment your entire life. There is no universal pension, there is no government healthcare that takes care of serious illnesses. Everything, your retirement corpus, your child's future, child's education, everything comes from what you have built entirely yourself. Then layer on inflation. At 6 to 7% a year, the purchasing power of 6,000 rupees today is about 3,000 12 years from now. So here's what 6,000 rupees a month actually builds versus what you actually need at the time of your retirement. 6,000 rupees invested for 30 years at 12% returns gives you approximately 2.1 crore rupees. But at retirement, you need at least 3.5 crore rupees. So this creates a gap of more than 1.4 crores. Now this gap isn't because you made some bad decision or invested in a wrong fund. It's because you were following a rule that was never calibrated for your salary, for your life or even your city. That's what this video is going to fix for you. Now I want to be fair here. The 50-30-20 rule isn't a bad rule. It was written by Elizabeth Warren, a Harvard professor and later a US senator, and her daughter in 2005. For American households, this rule generally works. You've got Social Security taking care of a part of your retirement. You get employer matched retirement funds. The 20% saving is just a top up on a system that already has your back. The problem isn't the rule. The problem is that this rule gets copy pasted in every single Indian personal finance article, in every budgeting app, in every well-meaning piece of advice without anyone realizing and asking that does it actually translate? And here's the thing. Even Motilal Oswal, India's one of the biggest financial firms, quietly admits in their OR 2026 guide that in metro cities like Bengaluru and Mumbai, the rent alone pushes your needs past 60%. They still recommend the rule. They just ask you to borrow it from your wants bucket to make it work. That's not a solution. That's just a workaround for a system that was not designed for your reality. You're not doing anything wrong. The rule is just not built for you. So, what does a salary split actually designed for India looks like? So before I show you, I want to clear one thing. I am not replacing one rigid rule by another rigid rule. What I am giving you next is a direction, a target for you to move towards, not something that you have to nail from day one. Here's what I call a salary first split applied to 30,000 rupees salary each month. 40% to fixed needs, that's 12,000 rupees. It goes to rent, utilities, electricity, everything essential. I know it is less than the 50% that a previous rule gave you, but this difference is intentional. 10% to emergency buffer, that's 3,000 rupees. This comes before your SIP every single month. You continue this until you have 3 months of expense sitting somewhere liquid and accessible. Not a savings account that pays you 3.5%. Maybe a liquid fund that gives you 6 to 7% interest and you can withdraw it in 24 hours if something bad happens. Emergency fund first, SIP second. No exceptions. And I'm going to cover where to put this money in next week's video. 30% to investment, 9,000 rupees. One SIP, one fund, tracking Nifty 50 index. You're putting 9,000 rupees every month into a fund that tracks 50 biggest companies in India. HDFC Bank, Infosys, Reliance, etc. For a fee of less than 0.1% per year, just automate it, don't touch it. 20% discretionary, 6,000 rupees. Everything else like weekend outings, Zomato orders, OTT subscriptions, anything else, anything that you want. The only rule is that it comes last, after investment, after the essentials, after the emergency buffer. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. My rent alone is 15,000 rupees. How can I invest 30% right now? You're right, and that's okay. Here's the starter version for you. Begin at whatever percentage you can. Maybe it's 10% or 15%, that's okay for right now. The one commitment you make is that whenever you get a salary hike, you will invest 2 to 3% of that into your investment. That is, your investment portion will increase by 2 to 3%. Before you adjust your lifestyle around that hike, before anything else, investment increases first. India's average salary hike right now is 9.1% per year. That's confirmed by EY and Aon's 2026 surveys. That means if you're earning 30,000 per month right now, there's a chance that next year you will be earning 33,000 per month. Now that extra 3,000, you will invest 2 to 3% of that in your investments. This framework catches up with your life. You don't have to flip your lifestyle from day one. Now here's the number I want you to sit with for a second. In 50-30-20 rule, 6,000 per month invested for 30 years at 12% return gives you 2.1 crores approximately. Now if we use the salary first rule, which gives you 9,000 rupees per month to invest for 30 years at that same rate of return, that gives you 3.1 crore rupees approximately, which means it's a 1 crore rupees gap. 1 crore difference not from picking the best stocks or timing the market. It's by moving 3,000 per month from your last bucket to your investment bucket. Now here's the objection I know is sitting in the comments and I want to address it honestly. Some of you have EMIs. A phone on EMI or maybe personal loan, an education loan. And when 30 to 40% of your take-home salary is already committed to EMIs, salary for split feels completely out of reach. And you're not wrong. Here's what I want you to understand. If more than 30% of your salary is being taken away by EMIs, this is the first problem to solve, not your SIP allocation, the EMIs. A personal loan in India carries an interest rate of about 18 to 24% per year right now. And when we look at index funds, their returns over long term are 10 to 12% per year. So you cannot out-invest a high interest loan no matter how much you try. So paying it down is the better return for you. So here's the honest priority order for you right now if you're in that situation. Step 1. Build a 5 to 10,000 emergency buffer first. Small but critical. Step 2. Aggressively pay down any loan above 15% interest rate. Step 3. Once your EMIs drop below 20% of your take-home salary, start the salary first split. This isn't the exciting advice, but it's the correct advice. And most finance content skip this advice totally because it's not as satisfying to talk about as compared to SIP and investing. One more thing, and this one's important. If you're using buy now pay later apps, or if you're using credit cards to bridge the gap between your salaries, this is a signal for you that your expenses have outgrown your salary. No investment framework fixes this. The first sequence is that income minus expense. It should be positive. You have to work on that first, investment second. Get the foundation right, then build on it. So here's the thing. The 50-30-20 rule isn't your enemy. It's just a rule that was created for someone else and quietly handed to you as if it was universal. Now you have a different framework. A framework that is built for an Indian city, an Indian salary. A scenario where no one else is going to take care of you except you. The salary first split. Needs first, emergency buffer second, investment third, and wants last. But guilt-free. Start wherever you can. Increase by 2 to 3% with every salary hike. That's it. That's the whole plan. Next week, I'm covering where your emergency fund should go. Because for most of you, if it's sitting in savings account, then it's losing you a lot of money each month that you don't even know about. That video goes up next week. And if this is the kind of content you want to see, subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you next week.